Okay, so we're 1 week into NTE. How's the game? As someone who has played 3 of its betas, but never really went too hard on progression. This game has set me up for failure. It's definitely a new experience to actually get invested into it. I wanted to talk about my experience so far. What's fun, what's concerning, and expectations for the future. NTE has 2 primary streams of macro progression. First is your hunter level, which is your generic account experience that is gained through dailies, one-time objectives, and spending stamina. This functions very similar to other gacha game titles, allowing you to unlock higher level caps for your characters while also being the primary gate for main quest progression. Your Tycoon level, on the other hand, runs on a completely separate system. This is mainly increased based on your income of Fons, which are rewarded for spending city stamina on side activities such as fishing, restaurant management, and racing, as well as the bi-weekly bank heist activity and from several one-time sources such as exploration and achievements. Wow, this place looks real... Dude. What? They just have been sitting out here and... Sure. City stamina functions on a weekly refresh, granting a static 1000 Fons per 1 stamina used, regardless of what content you participate in. I appreciate that this is just a static weekly refresh. You can binge these side activities in one sitting if you wish, or ignore it for several days and not feel like you're missing out on progression. While the city stamina system makes it seem like the progression is mostly time-gated, there's enough one-time sources throughout the world that players who go hard enough can get to over level 20 in the first week as FTP. I've been going through things fairly casually, so my Tycoon level is not quite there yet. Most of the side activities in the game have their own progression models as well. For example, fishing experience unlocks better rods, and the maximum fishing level gives you an outfit as well. Some activities are more fleshed out, such as races, which not only offer a large variety of solo races against NPCs, but also a multiplayer matchmaking system with raiding and seasonal rewards. Certain other activities, such as the rhythm game, are much more bare bones in comparison, only having a limited number of stages, and no relevant unlocks or additional progression, making its long-term replayability a bit concerning. Let's jump back to racing and cars though. Anything related to vehicles is inherently a lot more in-depth than any of the other systems in the game, as there are plenty of vehicle-related upgrades, skins, and alternatives. While the progression through the NPC races with your own car makes sense, the multiplayer racing can have some issues. Without any form of normalization between vehicle stats, you can load into a lobby where you are just outmatched and can only hope to scrape by with a participation prize, often not even being able to cross the finish line before the round times out. While your own progression in your vehicles and its upgrades is an important part of the game, in a more competitive multiplayer scene, I imagine this discrepancy could be off-putting for new players down the line, where it'll only become more likely for a new player to be put in a lobby with players that have much more developed vehicles than them. On the topic of multiplayer though, let's talk co-op. One of the main co-op experiences where players can work together is the Pink Paws Heist, the aforementioned activity with a bi-weekly reset where you can earn a large amount of Fons. This is a minigame where you try to pick up as many valuables as possible within the time limit, with the deeper levels of the bank having greater treasures but also more danger, and even a boss at the very end if you can manage to find a special keycard to access it. While my multiplayer experience here was pretty chaotic and fun, one of the main issues that quickly arose was that everybody had their own inventory and loot. While loot is rebalanced to have greater quantities in multiplayer to accommodate for the larger amount of players, the fact that every player has their own inventory makes it almost more of a competition over cooperation, where everyone is scrambling to be the biggest loot goblin. What's more awkward is that the special items to access certain parts of the vault aren't shared as well. To reach the final boss, for example, you need both a keycard and a cube, the latter of which only has one spawn per run. This led to a situation where I had the card, yoink! But one of my teammates accidentally picked up the cube, so we weren't able to access the boss and had to do a new run in order to get to it. The content and concept in itself is pretty fun though, and I enjoyed it. Hopefully they will expand on it, and ideally change the loot to a shared pool. That way I don't have to feel guilty if I'm yoinking all the loot. In the broader scope of co-op though, there are a lot of neat things about it. You can share rides with your friends, even outright just yoinking their vehicles to give them a test drive. And every player also gets their whole team available to use. I think there's definitely some potential in multiplayer combat content, so we'll have to see where they go with that. Alright, combat. We should probably talk about that. Similar to my experiences with the betas, combat was really only a small part of my total gameplay. However, I did get to try some new bosses with some interesting mechanics. The main thing that stands out about the combat is how it's largely reactive and has a large degree of freedom. Perhaps a bit too much freedom. Swapping characters has no cooldown between them. And since most actions continue when characters are off field, this means that there's a very high ceiling for what's possible. Now, I'm all for skill expression, but this can lead to such a landslide difference between casual and max efficiency play that could potentially be a nightmare to balance. I have yet to really dip my toes far into the endgame to know the specifics on that currently. Speaking of which, what is the endgame? It's fairly typical as far as open world gachas go, with stages that eventually require multiple teams where you battle waves of monsters with a timer. There are special equips that give very powerful effects as well, so there is some customization in what you could take in. On that note, the gearing in this game has a couple layers. Every character has a console, which you equip a core which defines your set effects. These drop with random main stats, so you may grind for a while to get the one you want. Substats are rolled on these tetraminos, of which you'll also want specific shapes in order to maximize the power of a character's build. This is likely what the main infinite grind in the late game will turn out to be. Outside of the repeatable casual and combat related activities, there's some one-time content we haven't talked about yet that's quite a significant part of the game. And that would be quests. These actually have quite good delivery, with plenty of animation, voice acting, cutscenes, and often silliness. I appreciated how some of the side quests fleshed out the stories of several characters, including A-rank units, which often tend to get sidelined in gachas. While the main quests and even character quests have a very high production value, there are definitely some side quests that lack all the aforementioned traits, which is fair but can lead to a very inconsistent experience. That's it for this week 1 gameplay review. I've been taking the game fairly casually and at my own pace, not trying to rush anything. Normally, I want to just speedrun and skip a majority of story quests and only focus on combat. But I've been having a surprising amount of fun doing everything but that. So, what are your thoughts? Surely I'm not the only one who is approaching the game like this, right? There's just been so many open world gachas released over the years that I've been getting a bit tired of the same formula, so I can always appreciate something new. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye! Wait. Okay, yep, that's you. What is definitely making through.